Okay, so let's think about a few things for a second, right? Words. Everybody knows that words are very powerful. The spoken word can create reality, figuratively and metaphorically. What does that actually mean, right? So, the number one thing that you don't want to do is stop thinking. Focused thought becomes matter. But it's those thoughts that we continuously have on a day-to-day basis that plants these seeds for those focused thoughts to eventually become matter. Now let's look at these words for a little bit, right? Thought. The word thought. Thought. There was an ancient god named Thoth, right? Thoth, kind of the same idea. Master of thinking. He was highly intuitive. Well, this actual deity is an ancient Kemetic deity that was originally known as Duhiti, which is connected in the exact planetarian system as the moon. So there's your intuition, there's your thought process, there's your psyche, there's everything that you need in order to become awakened, in order to become shus, right? We don't necessarily want to use conscious, even though that is a word that we have in the English language. It carries a very negative connotation to it because the word con in the very beginning itself means deceitful. So can you actually trust that awareness, right? Remove the con from there. You just shus, you're aware, right? So that's Thoth, that's thought, that's Duhiti, that's the moon, that's shus. So these are where your thoughts come from. Focused thought becomes matter. High level thinking now gives you Christ shus. So now we're no longer conscious, C-O-N. We're no longer deceptive to the language, but we are Christ shus. A lot of people think that Christ is this Jesus person that they gave you in these Bibles, when the original metaphor for it, and that's exactly what it was an idea, it was a metaphor, it was to tell a story about how one can live their life, right, and then become illuminated towards the end of their journey, knowing that they have they're completely detached from this world. They have no type of material attachments, right? They're no longer affected by things that are here that is binding them to this world. And the perfect story is actually written on the ancient tombs where that was mistranslated once again. Once the person, their Ka, right, the living spirit, has passed on, and now you have the Ba, the soul, that is left to be judged. Well, once it's there to be judged at the balancing scale of Ma'at, and your heart is measured up to the feather, that was all metaphoric, because this is your Ka that we're speaking of. There's no longer a body. This is your soul. There's no longer a heart to measure up. The only person that's actually there that's judging is you. And if you deemed yourself unworthy, well, then you basically resurrected back to this earth. So the point is to ensure that you have no worldly attachments. That way you can be worthy enough to step to the Father. So this is what it means to be Christ. All of us is Christ. All of us has Christ within us. All of us has the ability to fight the inner workings of everything that we desire, that is material, that will sustain us here on this earth. Not sustain for longevity though, but sustain temporarily. We have to learn how to detach from that. And that's where you get that Christ shus. But we've got to look at the language, right? One of the things that made me start looking at the language was because I was hearing so many people in this new age spirituality era saying that the law of attraction is not working for them. And if the word, the spoken word, can create reality, why isn't it working? Why is it not working for a lot of people who sit there and try to become the co-creators of their existence and manifest the reality that they truly want to live in? Why are there so many people having issues with it? Are they repelling it because they want it so bad? That's possible. But what exactly is happening? Is it because of the words? That got me looking at the words. Couple of different words that people should already know about, right? You say good morning to someone. That's very low vibrational. Mourning. You usually mourn something when someone dies. So you don't necessarily want to say good morning to anyone or even the start of your day, because now you're putting yourself in a depressive state. That's you setting yourself up for failure for your whole day. Why not use some other type of words or expression? Grand rising. A lot of people are saying that. It's something that will put you at a higher vibration for the start of your day. There are very strange words in the English language, right? Like organ. Organ has multiple meanings. It's not the only word, but we'll start there. Organ used to be an instrument that we would play. Made beautiful, beautiful, beautiful music, and it would vibrate. Within you are organs, and they vibrate at a specific frequency. Depending on, and billionaires knows of this, depending on how you're resonating on a specific day at a specific time with the specific knowledge that you have, you might say that day ended up very serendipitously. Right? But a lot of those people don't believe in luck. They just believe in the power of being at the right place at the right time. But why is it important that these organs within us vibrate? Because we have things that are surrounding us called a planetarian system that mirrors and reflects what we have on the inside of us. So we have to learn how to use our organs to an advantage, because they are under influence of these magnetic powers that we have that is surrounding us. Outside in the universe, beyond what we can see, or outside of the sky, beyond what we can see, is what's considered the universe. And there's all these different planets that reside up there. So they say, that's what they tell us. I haven't gotten a telescope myself just to validate that. But even if I did, who knows, I would have to go up there myself to see. And that's just somebody that's like me. Anyway, we have these same planets that reside within our bodies. These are the chakras, and each one of them resonate with a different planet within the solar system. But there's 7 of them, which is very ironic because, according to the scientists today, we have more than 7 planets in the solar system, but Ptolemy would argue that it was 7. And we are the center of the universe, which to me would make sense, because if we were not in the center, they wouldn't be able to influence us the way that they do. We have no influence on them. They can project their will upon us, but we can't do anything but receive. Therefore, we would have to be in the middle of everything, opposed to being an outside force that could possibly penetrate, manipulate, or divert any type of vibration that's coming our way or imposed will. And I'm not trying to get you to believe what it is that I'm saying, I don't want to persuade you into anything. I don't want you to think just like me, but I want you to simply think, about a couple of different things and see if it actually resonates with you or makes sense. Because you can't just walk around believing everything that you are seeing and hearing, right? Believe, be like Eve, be like Eve. Don't be like Eve. She was quite naive according to the Bible. Okay, so they take the alphabet, which was originally the word of God, and gave you an alphabet, right? Which has now an beginning and an end. So it's very linear and it's very constructed and it's very limiting. And they tell you that when you use it, you have to actually form the correct spelling of a word, right? Because now you are casting spells with your voice. And with these spells that you cast, if you speak enough of them, they form sentences. Now, sentences to me actually has a very negative connotation, because if you have someone who does a crime, they get in front of a judge and they're found guilty, the judge actually serves them with a sentence, something that is locked, something that is composed, something that is limited. And eventually these sentences form what is called a paragraph. Now, para in Latin means prepared. So it's a prepared graph, a prepared illustration of what they want to cast on you. And this whole entire thing comes from a specific type of grammar or a grimoire that witches use in order to cast spells. They're not preying on you, but they do want you to pray. You see how we have these words that have multiple meanings to them, but these meanings are very on the opposite ends of what the intended meaning of the original word is. Word pray, P-R-E-Y, has a very negative connotation to it, yet we pray, right? We worship. Which, if you actually translate the word worship, it turns into the word cult. That's in Latin, by the way. The word is cultus, and that translates into cult or worship. And English is something that is universally spoken in order for us to have these conversations. And they gave you a thesaurus. Now let's look at the root word, which is theo. In Greek, it's theos, which is a god. And we still carry the same tradition of the definition of that word to this day. We have theocentric, which is assuming God to be the center of the universe. Theocracy, where the government is directed by priests or clergy representing God. That sounds like the Vatican, right? Or maybe they're controlling the whole world. Who knows? Maybe this is a theocracy. Meanwhile, we thought it was a democracy. We have theologians, right? They study the theology, which studies the nature of God. Even conjugated, we've got atheism, thea. It's still there. Atheism, non-belief in God. Theories. Second part of that word is suarez. A suarez is it's an extinct reptilian. Did you know that? Yeah. So when you say thesaurus, you're saying the reptilian god. Isn't there a theory about reptilians running the world? Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that is who the Illuminati is. And please stop calling them the enlightened ones. They're not enlightened. That's not even what that means. Please don't boost their egos, because they don't need that, honestly. Now I'll break that word down for you, actually. So, Illuminati. And don't make fun of me for saying it that way. Every time I say it, I actually have to make fun of it. Illy, illy, that is them or they in Latin. And the ending of that word, naughty, N-A-T-I, right? Naughty. That's a conjugated word as well. And it means a group of people, but it's from the root word natus or natare, meaning to be born. So now when you conjugate it into nati, it's they are born, right? So Illuminati, they, you, me are born. That's really all it means. It's them being born. And that word is peculiar because it appears in a different area. Nati specifically in nation, or like in the United Nations. It's just Nati on. So listen, take a look at some of these words. I'm just saying, take a look at some of these words. They're very, very strange. We have given a lot of people power to write and rewrite history, and they're telling what they want us to believe. But thankfully, we are in an era where people are waking up and they're no longer being deceived. But honestly, look at the word, right? A person who is a writer. God's spoken word was originally on the tombs in ancient Kemet until it was turned into paper, right? A papyrus. That's where the word paper comes from. It was named after what it was made out of. And when they constructed what it is that we read to this day, that a lot of people have a difficult time reading, have a difficult time understanding, don't have the patience to actually go through it, and knows that it's filled with a bunch of lies, deceit, and whatever have you. It was originally called a viblio. Viblio means the book in Greek. But if you look at how that is spelled out to us when you pronunciate it, it looks like Bible. So that's where we get the word Bible from. Anyways, you put a bunch of patents on it, right? And you change the original meaning and the spirituality of it, and you become your own God and write yourself into history as a writer. Well, you are the author. An author is the same thing as someone being in authority. And that authority word is conducive to power. It is very challenging to refute text, right? This is the reason why they had gossip, go tell what happened. And then eventually that can get lost in translation, but what you have engraved on paper, that's forever and for always. And if you tell a bunch of people you can't learn how to read or speak this language, right? You're not allowed to read. They'll never know what's being written in history about their history.